Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, excellencies. I'm very pleased to speak to you this morning on behalf of Human Rights Watch, and I would like to thank the government of Brazil for hosting this very important conference and giving me the opportunity to participate. Over the last decade, Human Rights Watch has documented child labor in more than 25 countries in all regions of the world. In interviews with hundreds of children, we have seen how these children put their health, their education, their safety, and often their very lives at risk. We have met children harvesting sugarcane who have gashes in their legs from sharp machetes. We've met children picking tobacco who suffer nicotine poisoning. Children who have climbed into deep gold mine shafts only to have those shafts collapse. And child domestic workers who travel long distances from their families, only to be beaten and sexually abused by their employers. We welcome the progress that has been made in reducing rates of child labor, but 168 million child laborers is still far too many, and 85 million children in hazardous labor is simply unacceptable. In particular, we would like to highlight three situations. First, child domestic workers. The new ILO report finds that child labor rates are going down, but with one exception. The numbers of child domestic workers increased by over 1 million in the last 4 years. Hidden in private homes, these children are often excluded from labor laws, at increased risk of abuse, and yet the least likely to get help. Secondly, children in agriculture. As my colleague Loretta Johnson mentioned, we have documented how an exception in child labor laws allow children who work on farms to work for far longer hours, at younger ages, and under more hazardous conditions than other children. In other countries, like in the US, child farm workers suffer pesticide and nicotine poisoning, and despite their large numbers, they are often overlooked in efforts to end child labor. And third, children in small-scale gold mining. Over 1 million children worldwide work in mining, one of the most dangerous forms of child labor. In Mali, in Ghana, in Tanzania, we found children not only digging ore from deep, unstable shafts, but also using toxic mercury. They use the mercury with their bare hands to mix an amalgam and then breathe in toxic fumes when they burn the amalgam to extract the gold. This exposure can cause irreversible brain damage and puts their lives at risk. We would like to urge three things. First, we encourage all governments to ratify the Domestic Workers Convention and the new Minamata Convention on Mercury to help end child domestic labor and to protect child minors from the deadly effects of mercury. Secondly, we encourage governments to pay increased attention to children in the informal sector, especially children in agriculture, small-scale mining, and domestic work, through strong child labor laws that set a minimum age and that protect children from hazardous jobs and wage exploitation. It's also important these laws are monitored and enforced, including through labor inspections. And finally, we urge companies to implement effective due diligence procedures, to effectively monitor their supply chains for child labor, and to take steps to both prevent child labor and take remedial action when it occurs. Human Rights Watch appreciates the commitments of governments, employers, and workers to eliminate the worst forms of child labor. We look forward to continuing working together in our efforts. Thank you.
Muito obrigado. Convido